What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. All right, let's move on to our power rankings. So we're going to also, from now on, we're going to start including championship odds and conference odds as part of this process. And I'm just going to read them off to you guys when we get to the tail end of each team in this list. And then also, as you can probably imagine, the top 4 teams in this list are teams that we hit today. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on them. You can find that if you happen to have clicked on a breakout clip for the power rankings and you want to hear for the top 4 teams, remember that's at the top of today's full episode. All lines and odds are provided by our partner DraftKings, just so you guys know. And then also Lakers fans, not going to do any Lakers today because they play the Timberwolves tonight, and we will talk a lot of Lakers tomorrow. So everything involving them and the crappy basketball they've been playing as of late, we will discuss in detail in tomorrow's show. But without any further ado, let's get going. The Golden State Warriors at number 10, an 0-3 week for the Warriors. Losses to Brooklyn, OKC, and Phoenix. They've lost 4 in a row overall. And their offense is just really falling apart. They have a 107 offensive rating in the 4-game slide. Steph just hasn't been good. He's obviously a little banged up with these. Had some bilateral knee tendonitis. 21.7 points per game on 39% from the field in this 4-game slide. Andrew Wiggins is scoring 18 points a game, but he hasn't been very efficient. He's taken like 17 shots to get those 18 points. Kuminga's been awful. Buddy's been fine, but he's just like the old Buddy, who's a guy who can hit a couple of shots and make a couple of plays, but isn't good enough to really be an offensive hub. Brandon Podziemski is still cold. Lindy Waters has gone cold. Draymond Green hasn't been hitting the threes the way he did to start the year. Moses Moody is cold. And so obviously the Warriors have some offensive personnel limitations, but also, as I said a couple of times with other teams in the last few weeks, sometimes you just play bad basketball. Sometimes a team enters into a little bit of a funk and you just have to find a way to snap out of it. Part of the 82-game journey is there will be 3 or 4 different times during the season where for about a week you play bad basketball and you just have to find a way to figure out what's causing it and snap out of it. And the thing is there's no relief on the schedule right now. The next 11 games for Golden State: at Denver, home for Houston, home for Minnesota, at Memphis, at Minnesota, home for the Pacers and the Lakers, at the Clippers, and then home for Phoenix and Cleveland. Now, the thing there is a lot of home games. So specifically that 3-game stretch at home with Houston and 2 against Minnesota, that's a good spot for them to ride their home crowd, hopefully hit some shots and regain some confidence and play some better basketball. Golden State Warriors right now are plus 1,700 to win the title on DraftKings and plus 900 to win the Western Conference. Number 9, the Milwaukee Bucks. A light week for them. They went 2-0 to extend their streak to 6 games. Now they've won 8 out of 9 as well. Huge road win in Miami where Dame just shot the ball so well that Miami had no choice but to double team him every time down the floor. And then AJ Green was the hero at the end of that one, made a couple of huge threes to beat double teams. They also defended extremely well as a team. And that's the really exciting part if you're a Bucks fan. The Bucks are 8th in defense over the last 9 games, up to 14th on the season, thanks to a renaissance from guys like Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and some really high-level perimeter defense from guys like AJ Green and Andre Jackson. Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging 35 points per game over this 9-game span. The Milwaukee Bucks right now are plus 2,200 to win the title and plus 1,000 to win the conference. Number 8, the Los Angeles Clippers. 2-2 week for them. All over the place. Like they get annihilated by Boston where they give up 50 points in the second quarter. Then they go blow out the Wizards in Washington. Then they lose an absolute heartbreaker to Minnesota in this rock fight of a game where they still had a chance to win late, but Chris Dunn slips and loses control of the ball. And then they get a big win against Denver. So a very up and down week. But the big highlight is James Harden. I had a feeling coming into the season that the Clippers would be a very good regular season team because of their roster and the way it fits modern basketball so effectively on both ends of the floor. But James Harden was a big part of that and his ability to raise the floor on the offensive end. And he was pretty inefficient to start the year. And they were just still winning anyway because he was doing enough. And Norman Powell was so hot. And they were defending so well. Now James Harden's breaking out. He had 39, 9, and 11 in the win against Denver. In James Harden's last 7 games, he's averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds and 9 assists on 62% true shooting, and the Clippers are 5-2 in that span. So, like, I know this is upfront, I know this is a preposterously big if. But if Kawhi Leonard can rejoin this team and reach a superstar level, I do think they have the ability to contend for a championship because of their personnel strengths, because of the Harden fit. As long as Kawhi Leonard can actually remain healthy through the end of the playoffs at that level, this roster does have that type of talent, respectfully, in the ways that you need to get through this conference. A big body to match up with Jokic in the form of Zubac, right? Perimeter talent, good secondary and tertiary shot creation with Harden and Powell if Kawhi Leonard gets healthy. Again, like, that's the issue. Kawhi Leonard is the guy that gives this team a real upside, and it's just about whether or not he can get back. Now, again, that's a preposterously big if. What do you think? What do I think is going to happen? I think Kawhi Leonard's not going to be able to get back to form, and the Clippers will have that ceiling that prevents them from getting there. But it's hard to not get a little bit excited if you're a Clippers fan. And if you believe in that, plus 5,500 to win the title and plus 2,500 to win the conference. So, like, again, if Kawhi gets back, they got a legit chance to win the conference. So it's something to keep in mind in terms of the odds and the value there. All right, number 7, the Memphis Grizzlies, 4-0 this week. 6 straight wins overall, capitalizing on a stretch of weak schedule. They beat Philly, Chicago, Portland, Detroit, New Orleans, and Indiana in the span. But starting to get some tougher games here in December. They've had the number 1 offense in the league over the 6-game span, really balanced scoring. 72% of Memphis Grizzly baskets have been assisted over the course of the 6-game win streak. They're almost fully healthy now. Zach Edey's the main guy they're waiting on, and they're looking super deep with talent. But again, schedule's about to get tougher. They're at Dallas tomorrow night. They have Boston, Golden State, the Clippers, the Thunder, and the Suns all before the end of this month. So we'll get to learn a lot more about the Grizzlies over that span. The Grizzlies are currently plus 3,500 to win the title and plus 1,600 to win the Western Conference. Number 6, the Dallas Mavericks, also a 4-0 week. This team is one of the hottest teams in basketball right now. They've won 8 out of 9. And have not some really impressive wins, one at Denver and at Oklahoma City in that span. Luka did not play in 5 of the 8 wins, including either of the Oklahoma City or Denver games. Over this 9-game span, they are 4th in offense, 7th in defense, and 2nd in net rating. They're playing with a lot of pace in transition in the half court, getting a lot of production down the roster. Kyrie obviously is awesome, but Najee Marshall has really taken off. Quentin Grimes is like shooting the seams off the basketball. Spencer Dinwiddie has provided big shot making. And he's one of like kind of the underrated playmaking guards in the league. He's been doing some really high-level playmaking in the stretch. PJ Washington has been great and has made some big plays in big spots at the end of games. And now Luka's back. And it just feels to me like this team is about to go on a run. And Dallas fans, just go look at your schedule for the rest of the month of December. You get Luka back, get into a groove, keep everybody's minutes reasonable. This could be a situation where you head into January with a really strong position in the standings, good opportunity in front of Dallas. A lot of people were just like, off of Dallas early in the year as they're trying to incorporate new pieces, and Luka's clearly just banged up and not playing good basketball. I just thought it was way too early to jump off of them. Like, they're a team that we're going to see get stronger and stronger over the course of this season. The Dallas Mavericks right now are plus 1,100 to win the title and plus 550 to win the conference. Some decent odds there to get them to win the conference. Number 5, the Orlando Magic, another 4-0 week, really light schedule, though. They beat Charlotte, Chicago, and Brooklyn twice last week. KCP, though, is back and starting to get it going for them. 7 3-point attempts per game last week, shot 54% from 3 in that span. A bunch of big plays out of him. The Magic have won 12 out of 13 without Paolo. They have the number 1 defense in the league over that span, and they're 12th in offense, some of the best offense we've seen out of the Magic in this era. And so I'll be really interested to see how they choose to reincorporate Paolo Banchero when he comes back from his injury. Again, like, he's too talented to just be like, oh, go stand in the corner and let Franz run the show, but got to find a way to make sure that you maintain this comfort, the level of comfort that you're seeing out of Franz over this span. And I think they'll figure it out. A lot of staggering, a lot of like finding ways to keep them both involved in the action. Jamal Mosley's going to have his work cut out for him, but I think it'll be really cool to see. No way to look at that as other than optimistic that you lose who I think is their best player in Paolo Banchero, and you go and win 12 out of 13 games. Really interesting stuff there. Again, the last 4 teams, again, we also with the Magic, their odds, they're plus 5,000 to win the title and plus 1,500 to win the Eastern Conference. And again, our last 4, we hit all of these teams in detail at the top of the show. So if you're clicking on the power rankings breakout clip, and you want to hear Thunder, Rockets, Celtics, Cavs stuff, in our full episode from today, we did a full breakdown on those two teams at the top. Number 4, I have the OKC Thunder. They are currently plus 425 to win the title, plus 210 to win the West. Number 3, the Houston Rockets, plus 5,500 to win the title, plus 2,000 to win the West. I actually like that number just because these West teams are so injury prone and really anything can happen. And also Houston could be potentially a team that makes an aggressive trade this year. So for them at plus 5,500 to win the title or plus 2,000 to win the West, kind of some interesting odds there. And then the Celtics, number 2, plus 240 to win the title, plus 100 to win the East. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, plus 1,400 to win the title, plus 550 to win the East. Again, all of those odds are provided by our partner DraftKings. And then also, really simply, the reason why I put the Rockets over the Thunder, obviously I think the Thunder are a better team, but the Rockets won that individual game for the purposes of our regular season power rankings. They get the edge for this week. Same thing goes for the Celtics. I'd pick the Celtics to beat the Cavs in 5 or 6 games that they played in the playoff series, but the Cavs won last night. So we'll give them the nod